Looking at the next big issue on the show today, the 10th National Assembly has been birthed, and the inauguration came with a battle for the soul of the legislature. Former Governor of Akpabio State, Godswill Akpabio, has been elected the president of the 10th Senate, while the senator representing Kano North, Barao Jibrin, emerged as the deputy Senate president. Akpabio polled 63 votes to defeat his rival and former governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari, who secured 46 votes. Also, Tajudeen Abbas has been elected as the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives with 353 votes to defeat Idris Wase and Aminu Jaji, who got 3 votes each. That was a very overwhelming score there in the House of Reps leadership polls. Well, let's share the update on what transpired on the floor of both houses of National Assembly today.
I want to assure you today that I shall be just and fair to every one of you, irrespective of perceived differences. I shall operate a house that you will be proud of. I shall be guided by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the House rules. Our doors will be open for members of APC, PDP, Labour Party, NNPP, ABGA, SDP, ADC, and YPP. Under my watch, the 10th House shall sustain and even surpass the gains of the 9th Assembly. That's my prayer. We shall carry out the task before us jointly. We shall introduce reforms and innovations for the benefit of Nigerians.
That's the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Tajudeen Abbas, in his acceptance speech after he was elected as a Speaker of the 10th National Assembly. That's talking about the House of Representatives. Let me start with you, Yinka. There have been lots of anxiety, lots of concern. Will party supremacy prevail, or will we see another 2015 drama play out where it's all good for democracy, many would say, but how would you take the results that played out on the floor of both chambers today?
Well, clearly, what happened today is a party that is united. That, for me, is what you can see. Because before today, there have been anxieties that, oh, will Akpabio win? Will Abbas go? Will he win? And all that. But from what we have seen today, and there were no fracas, no dissenting voices, nothing. I mean, no, at least so far, the election has taken place more than 3-4 hours ago. There has been no any reports of anybody saying, no, it's unfair, this. So for me, I think the president has gotten what he wants. The question now is, as he has said when he was sworn in, he said, don't pity me. I asked for this job. So as a Nigerian, I will not offer him a word of pity.
You place a demand on
I will put his foot on fire. That man, for more than 30 years, you have been asking for this job. You've gotten it. What do you have in stock for us? The candidates he openly supported, that of House of Rep, was not very clear, but I know he supported him. But that of Senate was very, very clear and glaring that Akpabio was his candidate and he has gotten it. He has gotten the House of Rep, he has gotten the Senate. What do you do with it? That is the question we should be asking. We don't want to have a National Assembly that will be like the net one. Whether they agree or not, majority of Nigerians believe that it was a rubber stamp assembly, National Assembly. But this time around, yes, it shouldn't be like that. All the president wishes, if they really consider them and they feel that it will not be in the best interest of their constituent or in the country, we want to believe that they will not allow it to pass. For now, the president has gotten all the tools he needs
to lead the
to
federal
lead the
government.
country. So, in the next few days or weeks, what we expect is the announcement of advisors, announcement of submission of
Ministerial
nominations, and let the work start. Because Nigerians out there are eager. Even those who don't support the president or the party, they are eager to see what he's going to do. And it is our prayer and our wish that he let him surprise those who are skeptical about him leading the country right, and let him confirm for those who have staked out their neck for him that no, Asiwaju will be the man to lead Nigeria out of the woods.
Okay,
that is what we were.
That's a good one. Paul, let me bring you on to the conversation. How important was it for the executive to influence the leadership of the legislature? And I narrow it down to the president himself. How important is the emergence of this party-supported candidates to emerge as leaders of the National Assembly? And what crucial role will it play in the entire federal government itself, the structure of the federal government going forward from now?
I don't want us to look at it as if the executive foisted these candidates on the legislators. They were not foisted.
It was open.
Yes, they were not foisted. These candidates were the preference of the party, and the president, of course, obviously, was a party man, and a lot of negotiations went into it, a lot of discussions, much persuasion went into. That's why you had a lot of...
I mean, look at the results from the House of Representatives.
Stepping down.
Where APC doesn't even have the
overwhelming... But the man, Yari, also pulled his weight. He had 43 votes. He said he would not step down, and Abbas didn't fall for him.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm trying to say? The party did not see him as one who had offended the gods. Yeah. It was his right to contest. And he got 43 votes. Now, the other people for the other contenders at the House of Reps got 3 each. Fine, that's the democracy. For me, what really happened, I love the way the party went about it, because they went about it so early. They were able to prevent the Saraki,
2015
Saraki scenario. It showed cohesiveness. In a way, it also showed party supremacy, because people don't, as far as we are concerned, a lot of them was an independent candidate. I mean, of course, they didn't campaign or they didn't win their seat on independent platforms. So it shows some cohesion, and that's what we need. And it also, helps them to get away from distractions. But I know that the winners are still savoring the euphoria of their triumphs. But beyond all of that, Godswill, Akpabio, for example, should remember that he's a very lucky man, and he has to work. He's a lucky man because this was the man that did not have it rosy with his nomination for the election. Exactly. Yeah. With the Senate. Remember the NDDC saga and all of that. Let us go into all of that now. He's a very lucky man. Of course, the party had a switch with it. So he has to work well. I want him to I expect him to lead a Senate that will not be saying to ministerial nominees, take a bow. I want them to do serious screening. I wish. All right,
Paul, we'll get into the demands before the leadership of the National Assembly. But let's just look at the emergence, the nitty-gritty, and the drama that played out. Let me bring on Babajide Kolade Otitoju into the conversation. He joins us via Zoom from Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. BKO, the party prevails, or the wishes of the party prevails in this one. And of course, we have a leadership that the party can now beat its chest and say it's part of the renewed hope agenda. How important was this for the overall federal government led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the president?
This was Asiwaju's first real battle, and his skills as a politician, a tactical politician, were put to test. About 3 days ago, it looked most unlikely that Akpabio will win. Yari was clearly ahead, and senators attested to the fact that Yari was ahead in the race. All of the governors, former governors, except perhaps people like Bishomole and the former governor of Ebonyi, were on his side. People like Tambuwal, Magata Kadawamako, former governor Aliero from Kebbi, and a lot of the powerful senators from the Northwest were clearly on Yari's side, and Yari was coasting home to victory, was coasting to victory. But Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu deployed his deputy. His deputy had one-to-one discussions with some of the powerful and influential politicians. And by 4 a.m. yesterday, the situation began to change because some of the people in Yari's column had begun to move back to Akpabio's side. And in the end, Yari actually scored 46, not 43 votes. Yeah, 46. Yari lost out. Akpabio scored 63 votes to Yari's 46. For a man who did not get the benefit of federal might, that was a very, very good performance. But I can tell you that if the method adopted by the House of Reps in choosing their presiding officers had been adopted by the Senate, because the House of Reps adopted a modified voice vote, whereby you come out and announce that this is the person that you are supporting. If they had adopted that for the Senate, Akpabio will have won with a very big landslide, because not many people, realizing that Akpabio was the choice of the president, will want to openly go against him. So the method adopted in the Senate helped Yari to poll the number of votes that he got in the final analysis. But it was a good for Asiwaju to get the National Assembly to support the people that he felt would best complement him in the onerous task that he has had as president.
All right, Biko, let's switch the conversation.
To the House of,
okay. Let me allow you to wrap up your thoughts quickly.
Oh, now coming to the House of Reps. A lot of people are saying, oh, the House of Reps contest became a one-sided affair. They must remember again that Asiwaju had one of the contestants like Dagdi, like Betara. He met them, and then got his deputy to also follow up. At the end of the day, they started stepping down one after another. So by the time the race began, the biggest contestants like Betara, like Gabdi, they had already pulled out of the race. Wase was literally left alone. So that was why it became one-sided like that. If all those guys had been in the race, the plan that they had was to pick one of them as the consensus candidate, and they will have given him all their support. And with powerful people like Betara, like Gagdi, it will have been a different case.
Okay.
But by stepping down, it made the race a walkover for Tajudeen Abbas. And this is a very good way for the president to start. It will have been an embarrassing situation for him if he had not secured the buy-in of those National Assembly members.
Well, you can always count on the dexterity of the president, being a former senator himself. He's surrounded by parliamentarians. I mean, his chief of staff,
former senator, the vice president, former senator, the
first
lady, former senator, the
chief of staff.
I mean,
the secretary of the government of federation. So I think it was clear from the onset that the president will always have his way, despite all the shenanigans.
Yeah.
But of course, like you pointed out, it's a good thing for democracy.
Yes.
It's a good thing for democracy that everybody tests their might and nobody is being coerced into silence. But let's look at the task before the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. I will start from you, Yinka. You mentioned the issue of ministerial screening, but beyond the ministerial screening, they also play the role of helping the federal government, led by the executive, and of course, setting the agenda for national growth and development. What are the areas you expect the 10th Assembly to feature prominently?
For me, the issue of economy and education, those two, well, three actually: education, economy, and security. And the three go together. The reason is that you cannot have a good economy if you don't have security. There can't be good economy if there is no education. So the three goes together. The three are together, and as a National Assembly, they must focus on what is the problem. Where do we start? What do we do about the security of the country? What do we do about the education? We don't want to have a situation where a minister would say that by the time he got to that ministry, he knew next to nothing about that ministry. So even if the president will not give them a ministry attached to names of ministers, they must also look at the pedigree of all those who are going to be the ministers. Apart from the ministers, the issue of security also. The security architecture of the country needs a rejig completely. A situation where we have people being kidnapped and the security officials are lethargic, we don't hear anything, you just look at the statement that has been issued. Looks like a statement that was issued some 5 years ago. Is just the date and the this and that. No. People must be taken into, they must be taxed and asked questions. If there's a security lapse, the security chief must be summoned. If there is an educational lapse, that must be. Economy too. All these things, you must not have a situation where ministers or appointees are kept there and nobody questions them.
And that's where, I mean, let me bring you, Paul, into this one as well. One area where many Nigerians faulted the NASS Assembly was its inability to summon appointees or even ministers, and they would reply. We saw a time when they summoned the CBN governor, the suspended CBN governor, and he said he was out of the country, and they had to use a threat of an arrest to coerce him or to send a representative to the House. How would you expect the 10th Assembly to play its oversight function without hurting the ego of the executive, led by the president, and also ensuring that it creates a balance that will not create tension in the system?
I think one of the reasons political appointees were able to ignore the National Assembly was the attitude of the former president who, he had this insouciant attitude, semi-insouciant attitude towards things going on in his back corner. You would find this ministry fighting this agency, and then the president will fold his arms. If you listen to an interview by former governor of Lagos State and former minister of power, former minister of works, Babatunde Fashola, he said that Buhari is the kind of person that gives you a job to do and he watches you from a distance. Asiwaju is the kind of person that gives you a job to do and breathes down your neck. Yeah. Now, Asiwaju will probably not appoint people that will defy the National Assembly. Now, if the National Assembly...
Being a former senator.
Yes, being a former senator. If the National Assembly and the executive work together seamlessly, I think that you may not have government appointees, defying the National Assembly. I do not see much of that happening. But one thing that can also cause that is the integrity of those who are also the lawmakers themselves. We've had allegations of allegations that are made against lawmakers asking for bribe to have the budget of MDAs passed. Now, the appointees will respect you if you are doing that. You understand? We have had cases like that. So if the National Assembly has a moral authority, if they are men that decide to depart from the moral decadence that the several assemblies have been characterized with, I think that they will stand on a good moral footing. You understand? To say, come here, and then the person will come.
Of course, the Senate must stand above board and ensure that maintain its moral integrity so that no appointee of the government would rub or look at it in the face and call it bluff. BKO, let me bring you into the conversation as we gradually hit the home stretch. Now the National Assembly is set. The president can now get to work. What are your expectations from the federal government led by Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? And now, talking about the federal government, we are looking at the three arms. The executive, the legislature, and the judiciary will also play a role in the government itself. What are your expectations and what are the targets or the milestones you expect that will be reached within the first 100 days? The president has said, do not pity me. So I will hope that in your own assessment as well and your submission, you will not pity the president in your expectations.
The president has shown in the last few days that he has revolutionary ideas that he intends to change our country for good. For example, unifying the exchange rate is like taking away the subsidy that people are enjoying in the forex market. And I'm sure that to stabilize our currency and take away the benefits that rent seekers and traders were getting from the deplorable state of our currency. So, Mr. President has a lot to do. He needs a National Assembly that will complement his efforts. And I can see why he put everything he's got into this race to ensure that Akpabio especially, we thought, because without the president's last-minute intervention, Akpabio would easily have lost the race. Now, he needs the National Assembly working with him. We also need the National Assembly to take its oversight function seriously. A lot of the ministries, departments, and agencies are known for heart-shaking corruption. The National Assembly must stand firm. The National Assembly must allocate money to itself to be able to do the oversight work competently, not going to the people that you are oversighting and asking them to provide you with accommodation and allowances. At that stage, you have already compromised the work. So what we want to see is a National Assembly that breathes down the neck of these people and ensures that, look, the nonsense that is going on, the bare-face stealing that is going on through those agencies and ministries are stopped. You know, it's a lot that we need to do better than the way we did them in the last administration. And I want to believe that that change that this administration promised will happen. We are already seeing the signs. We are seeing people now say they regretted not voting for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. They thought, oh, it was a president who will come and be saying Bala Blue every day. Now They can't even hear such things again. And they can see that he has settled down and is doing his work. He's taking some giant steps and giant
All right.
leaps. This is what we want to see. And
All right.
we need a National Assembly that will help us get to the next level.
What a way for us to wrap up the conversation there. And Vicky, thank you for eating that right into the bull's eye for the section of naysayers who believe that Nigeria, shouldn't go the route it is heading now. Well, gentlemen, thank you for the conversation. Thank you for looking at the issues from a very objective and balanced point of view. Of course, Olayinka Oyegbili, as well as Paul Dada, as well as Babajide Kolade Titoju, who joins us via Zoom from Ilorin, the Kwara State capital. I'm Emmanuel Akinboa, and that's it on the show today. Join us tomorrow for another episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode tonight at 11. You can also join us on Sunday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. for Journalist Hangout on Sunday. That's a special 2-hour broadcast of the show. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Emmanuel Akindobuwa. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.